Russia continues to rain missiles on Ukrainian cities on day 24 of its invasion. UN estimates nearly 6.5 million people have been displaced in Ukraine and over 3.2 million have fled the country. The city of Kyiv has faced heavy damage due to repeated bombings. Fire rages on in residential buildings as rescue teams in action try to evacuate people from the buildings. Mariupol has seen heavy shelling and the city is in ruins. Charred residential buildings, destroyed commercial establishments in the city paint a devastating picture. 130 people have so far been rescued from the debris of the Mariupol theatre that was bombed by the Russian troops. Many still are feared trapped under the rubble. Meanwhile, the Russian Defense Ministry released a video that shows a group of fighter helicopters firing at an airfield in a bid to capture the airfield. In a bid to capture Ukraine's capital city, Putin's military is attacking Kyiv, including key residential areas. On Friday, a Russian shell hit a residential building in the northern part of the capital city, Kyiv. But battered and ravaged Kyiv is still holding its fort and fighting back. Civilians have placed patrol bombs on the streets of Kyiv to fight Russian forces.
І я хочу, щоб мене зараз почули всі, почули особливо в Москві. Настав час зустрічатись, час говорити, настав час відновлювати територіальну цілісність і справедливість для України. Інакше втрати Росії будуть такими, що вам не вистачить і кількох поколінь, щоб піднятися.
I'm right now on a normal street on the outskirts of Kyiv city. And what I found very interesting here is next to the road, some small cardboard boxes are placed, and see what is here in these cardboard boxes. This is called Molotov cocktail. A Molotov cocktail is nothing but a bit of motor oil and a diesel with the cloth in a glass bottle so that you can throw it away on any tank or any kind of vehicle and it will stick to it and it will catch fire. These Molotov cocktails are placed in numerous places like this on roadside areas in Kyiv now, so that in case there is attack by Russian forces or there are some Russian trucks or tanks coming, any civilian can just pick up one bottle and throw it on them and run away, and they can put these vehicles and these tanks on fire. Besides this, if you see the kind of innovation they've done, if you see these are how they have made this iron rods, they cut it so that they're placed on the road everywhere. This is an innovation, a new kind of innovation, so that any vehicle which has rubber tires goes over it, the tires will fall flat and the vehicle can't move forward. So war teaches us a lot of new innovations, and these are the innovations people of Kyiv are doing now. This is Rajesh Pawar for India Today from Kyiv.
As Russia steps up the offensive over Ukraine, missiles and rockets rain on Ukrainian cities. But Ukraine shows immense resilience as Russia is still unable to capture a single Ukrainian city. Here's a report.
This is the extent of the damage after parts of a Russian missile fell on a residential building in the northern part of Ukrainian capital Kyiv. At least one person was killed and 4 injured.
See, the missile hit our building. All apartments are totally destroyed. I don't know where I'm going to live now, where I'm going to work. I don't know to carry on living. And who is going to help me?
The emergency services said that they had rescued 12 people and evacuated another 98 from the 5-story building.
The missile fell. It fell down and there was nothing left of the apartment. I'm barely alive myself. Yes, I'm from that building. I guess I will no longer live there. A bomb arrived in the morning. Some kind of a rocket. I don't know. A projectile. I've heard it just because I live here, behind a school. So I just came here to have a look and offer my help if needed.
More than 3 weeks since Vladimir Putin launched an invasion, Ukraine is still standing and Russian forces have not captured a single big city. But Russia continues its offensive. 4 missiles hit an aircraft maintenance facility in the western Ukrainian city of Lviv. destroying its buildings. Ukraine's military says the facility was struck by cruise missiles launched from the direction of the Black Sea. Enemy's strike against the city of Lviv is another proof that it does not fight Ukrainian troops. It fights population, children, women, refugees. There is nothing sacred for them. In Mariupol, a city that has been under relentless Russian attack, this is what remains of the theatre that was bombed. The theatre was serving as a bomb shelter. Since the start of the invasion, over 24 days ago, Russian troops have taken heavy losses while blasting residential areas to rubble and sending more than 3 million refugees fleeing. Moscow denies it is targeting civilians in what it calls a special operation to disarm its neighbor. Bureau Report, India Today.
The fierce fight over closing the skies continues. As Ukraine appeals to close the skies, the West turns a blind eye to the no-fly zone plea. Russia, however, has closed the skies over Donbass. Here's a report.
To create a no-fly zone over Ukraine to save people. Is this too much to ask?
An impassioned plea to close Ukraine's skies against Russia and a bid to boost its air defense. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has run from pillar to post in the global corridors of power, beseeching governments to close their skies to Russian aircraft. For the Russian president too, the sky is where he draws the limit. On Friday, Russia imposed a no-fly zone over Ukraine's Donbass region, a move that cuts off access to Donbass's skies to the entire world. Zelensky has repeatedly called on countries to take action. The president urged the US Congress to close the sky over Ukraine to save the lives of millions.
We are asking for a reply, for an answer to this terror from the whole world. Is this a lot to ask for? To create a no-fly zone over Ukraine to save people. Is this too much to ask? Humanitarian no-fly zone. Something that that Russia would not be able to terrorize our free cities.
Biden has so far approved $13.6 billion in military and financial support, but not the military jets and no-fly zone. Ukraine also pleaded for Canada's help to close the sky in an address to the House of Commons. Zelensky asked parliamentarians to imagine how life would be if Russian bombs were falling on Canadian cities.
We are not asking for much. We are asking for real support, which will help us to prevail, to defend our life of all the world. Justin, all friends, Ukraine, all friends of truth. You understand how important it is for us to protect our sky from these missiles and from Russian aircrafts.
The same warning has been repeated to NATO to act against Russia.
And now, I repeat again, if you do not close our skies, it is only a matter of time before Russian missiles fall on our territory, on the territory of NATO, and on the homes of citizens of NATO countries. American journalist Ben Renaud was killed today in Kyiv region. His colleague is injured. It was a deliberate attack by Russian military. They knew what they were doing, but not everyone in the West seems to know what they are doing.
Imposing a no-fly zone over Ukraine would mean directly stepping into the war. Will the US and NATO be willing to extend help beyond humanitarian and financial aid? Bureau Report, India Today.
Putin is feeling the pinch quite literally, with the American drug maker suspending supply of Botox and fillers to Russia. Putin is rumored to have relied on the famous anti-wrinkle treatment for close to, in fact, many years. Russia and Ukraine, in fact, have been trading charges, accusing each other of genocide. Under global pressure, Russia plays victim, alleges war crime by Ukraine in the Donetsk region. Putin also accused the West of doublespeak. Here's a report.
A day after Ukraine and its allies accused Vladimir Putin of war crimes, Russia is hurling the same charge at Kyiv. Russia is calling a missile attack by Ukraine on breakaway region Donetsk a war crime. Moscow claims the Tochka-U missile fired by Ukrainian forces landed in a residential area, killing 20 people. Earlier, Russian forces had destroyed a theatre in Mariupol, sheltering hundreds of civilians. The attack sparked global outrage. Kyiv accused Moscow of genocide.
I think he is a war criminal.
The series of charges and countercharges continue. The Russian foreign minister has claimed the US has created several biological laboratories across countries, including Ukraine.
Those laboratories are have been created by the United States all over the world, more than 300 laboratories in various countries, many of them on the perimeter of the Russian Federation and the former Soviet republics, including Ukraine. Ukraine is probably the biggest project for the Pentagon.
Russia has threatened to target any cargo moving into Ukrainian territory, which they might believe are biological weapons.
Any cargo moving into Ukrainian territory, which we would believe is carrying weapons, would be a fair game. I mean, this is clear, because we are implementing the operation, the goal of which is to remove any threat to the Russian Federation coming from the Ukrainian soil.
Moscow is demanding security guarantees that will be common for Russia, Ukraine, and all of Europe as part of a compromise. With Russia changing goalposts, an early breakthrough in talks looks unlikely. Bureau Report, India Today.
Chinese President Xi Jinping told US President Joe Biden in a video call that the war in Ukraine must end as soon as possible, but did not assign blame to Russia for the invasion. Here's the news report.
U.S. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping spoke for nearly 2 hours Friday morning in a video call where the White House said the two world leaders discussed Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Chinese state media said Xi underlined that such conflicts were in no one's interest. The call comes amid U.S. warnings that Moscow had asked Beijing for military and economic assistance as the war drags on and sanctions cripple the Russian economy. Russia denies making the request, and China said the reports were false. Beijing has so far declined to criticize the Kremlin over the invasion. China and Russia last month announced a new strategic partnership, and Washington is worried that China could help Russia circumvent economic sanctions. But the fighting may have forced China into something of a balancing act.
Well, what we have observed so far, it seems to be China's position has shifted from initial indifference, leaning towards more showing sympathy towards Ukraine without openly denouncing Moscow.
Yu Jie is a senior research fellow focusing on China at London's Chatham House.
So China is really hoping out of this crisis they'll be able to maintain that fine balance. But however, the fine balance will be very difficult for Beijing to maintain anyway at the end of the day. That Beijing, because bogged down by the international pressure, that Beijing will have to show some stance and to show its capability as being a responsible power in this case.
The fighting in Ukraine has added a new front to a U.S.-China relationship already at its lowest level in decades. Just before the phone call, China sailed an aircraft carrier through the sensitive Taiwan Strait, shadowed by a U.S. Navy destroyer.
Putin is feeling the pinch quite literally, with the American drug maker suspending supply of Botox and fillers to Russia. Putin is rumored to have relied on the famous anti-wrinkle treatment for close to 10 years now. Cosmetic surgeons say that Putin seems to have got Botox, cheek fillers and eye and chin lift. So what face will Putin put forward now?
Is Vladimir Putin addicted to Botox? Famous for his reliance on Botox, the Russian president is all set to really feel the pinch. Because of the war in Ukraine, the American drug maker AbbVie, which owns the blockbuster anti-wrinkle treatment, is halting operations in Russia. The biopharmaceutical company has suspended supply of Botox and fillers to Russia, the most popular products in Russian aesthetic medicine. The use of Botox by Putin has been widely reported. A Sydney cosmetic doctor had called out Vladimir Putin for having too much filler, blasting the Russian president in a social media post. Rumors that the Russian president has undergone cosmetic procedures have been around for years, with some cosmetic surgeons believing they have been done in a bid to improve his tough guy image. There are claims that the 69-year-old has had several cosmetic procedures over the years, including Botox, cheek fillers, and a chin and eye lift. Rumors first began swirling that Putin has received Botox when he attended a meeting in Kyiv in 2011 with a black eye. Botox, plastic surgery, or steroids. The transformation of the Russian president from a gaunt geek to a bloated brute could be because of one or all of these things. But with Botox supply being suspended, what face will Putin now put forward? Bureau Report, India Today.
Slipping into a short break. Coming up next, Prime Minister Modi and Japanese Prime Minister to hold talks today. We bring you more on that on the other side of this very short break.